Well, a number of years ago, I came across the following true story. There was a married couple who had been married for some time, and unfortunately, their marriage was on the rocks. They hadn't felt love for one another for years. They kept a long record of wrongs for one another. Each of them were both more critical of the other than they were encouraging towards the other. And they had just kind of dug their heels in. They were just kind of set. This is how we're going to do married life together. And so, sort of as a last ditch effort, they went to go talk to their pastor, right? And they told him their whole story. And the pastor, being a good pastor, he sat, he listened. He asked some of those good follow-up questions, those probing questions, right? And he determined, there wasn't quite grounds for a biblical divorce there, right? There wasn't the sins that would kind of warrant that. And so after they ended up sharing, he did the following. He reminded this couple of Christ's call on their lives as husband and wife to love one another, right? So he did what you might expect him to do. But then he went on further and said, but look, if you can't fulfill your call to love each other as husband and wife, then love each other as brother and sister in Christ. Then he went further. He said, if you can't even do that, if you can't love each other as brother and sister in Christ, then love one another as neighbors. And then he went a step further still. And he said, look, if y'all can't love each other even as neighbors, then love each other as enemies. That pastor, he insisted that even if they're living in their marriage, not as husband and wife, not as brother and sister, even if they're living as enemies, which they were, right? He was just kind of naming how they were living. They are still called by Jesus and commanded by Jesus to love each other.